There's a race of people that all this time have been living right under the noses of everyone. In Friendship is Magic, there are hundreds of characters that have become fan favorites, from the main 6, the villains, and even the background ponies. Not unlike the companion cube, even inanimate objects have become popular characters in the show. Boneless the rubber chicken, Bloomberg the tree, and even Tom the rock. But maybe there's more than meets the eye with these objects. The reason these inanimate objects have become popular in the first place, like the companion cube, is because they are treated as though they were living sentient characters. Usually, this sort of thing is just a gag for comic relief. We poke fun at how silly it is that the characters are talking to objects as if they were alive. Even some of the other characters share in our disbelief at how they can baby and groom an object like Bloomberg as if it had feelings. Though sometimes, this comic gag goes further than normal. In Maud Pie, for example, Maud shows off her pet rock, named Boulder. Now, people have had pet rocks before, giving them googly eyes and making nice little decorations to play with, but that's not what's going on here. This is much deeper. She takes it everywhere, plays hide and seek with it, and even gave it a sandwich. As if rocks could actually... Wait, where did the sandwich go? Did he actually eat this? What's stranger is that Boulder isn't the only sedimentary character that people have fallen in love with. Tom is a rock that Discord tricked Rarity into seeing as a diamond. She became infatuated with it, and even gave it a name. This could serve as comic relief, and nothing more, sure. I mean, Rarity loves jewels and precious minerals like diamonds. This would make perfect sense. But there is one thing Rarity doesn't do normally with these precious minerals, and that's naming them. Even Gollum didn't do that. He named the ring his precious because it was something that was precious to him, and he never spoke proper English. But he didn't name it as if it was a character itself, and he really had a right to, since the ring was sentient with the mind of Sauron. So why did Rarity name this rock Tom? Well, she probably just went a little loony, right?
Nope.
She lost her element of generosity and became consumed by greed. She was tricked into seeing this rock as a diamond, but she wasn't crazy. More than that, every time Discord manipulated the minds of the main 6, he changed how the world around them appeared, and let them choose to act accordingly, to lose themselves of their own will. Well, except for Fluttershy. They were consciously aware of what they were doing and chose to go through with it because they felt like it was the best course of action in light of that supposed change. Like Applejack, for example, who said she couldn't bear the truth, so she started lying. Meaning that Rarity, while she might see this rock differently, she knew what she was doing. She lost her generosity because she was blinded by selfishness, but that also means that she is not crazy. But if she isn't crazy, then what's left? Is it something to do with Discord's magic? Discord has been known to make the inanimate animate. He has experience with it, but maybe he also has some knowledge that others don't. Tom wasn't made animate. It was still just a rock from all accounts except for Rarity's, but Rarity's perception of Tom was changed because of Discord. It looked like a diamond, of course, but maybe she could see something else, something worth giving a name, something like life, sentience. This isn't even Rarity's first unnatural experience with rocks either. Out of nowhere, with no explanation ever given, Rarity's horn one day just ignited and began to forcibly pull her to this rock full of gems. She had no control of it. There was some other force at work. Some could say that it's a natural occurrence relating to her cutie mark. She reached a point in her life where she was ready to mature and get her cutie mark. So her horn reacted as a bodily function and automatically pulled her to what could lead her to her destiny. I think that's what's being implied here for the most part, but it's a pretty lame explanation in my opinion. Horns have been known to suddenly react to a magical element of a situation, like in Hearth's Warming Eve, but that was directly due to something they were doing in that situation. In this case, Rarity did absolutely nothing. It would make more sense if that was a common thing, that at a certain point in a unicorn's life, if they don't yet have their cutie mark, then their horn forcibly brings them to a place that will lead them to their destiny. But we never hear about anything else like this. It seems more likely that there was some intelligent force that brought her there. Humor this idea for a minute. What if there was a consciousness locked inside a rock with no physical senses or anything? All it had was its mind and its magic. After all, most beings in Equestria have some kind of magic, even if it's just a little bit. And well, magic is usually controlled and channeled with focus and concentration of the mind, right? So if all you have is a mind, maybe that means that this rock's power could be much more in tune. Maybe that's part of why Discord was able to escape. Now, what if this rock was beginning to break down? It was cracking and could no longer support the consciousness that sat inside of it. What would it do? Probably use its magic. It would try to send for help or give a sort of SOS or something like that, right? What if that's what was actually happening here? Not Rarity's horn bringing her to her destiny, although that is a result of what happened, but this entity making a last-ditch effort at surviving by bringing another intelligent entity that might be able to do something. But instead, the rain boom came and put the last nail in the coffin of this rock. Now, I don't have a lot to support this specific occurrence, but it's food for thought. Now, back to Boulder. It's very strange how Maud acts towards it. In many ways, she acts the same as Rarity did with Tom. She constantly keeps watch of Boulder and even named it. But she wasn't put under a trance by Discord, so why does she still treat a rock like it is alive? How do you play hide and seek with something that you yourself put somewhere? And where did that sandwich go? Maud is a rock farmer. She grew up farming rocks. Farming something over the years would teach you some things about it that people wouldn't know otherwise. How it lives and grows, and what it's like when it's ripe. If the same thing applies to rock farming, then Maud would know more about rocks than most people do. She knows what makes a rock. And if there is some secret of sentience Discord knows about regarding rocks, rock farmers are the only other ones with a high chance of knowing anything about this secret. But then, how does a rock farm work anyway? The only thing that can be farmed are plants and animals. People don't farm rocks because the only logical way to grow rocks are via erosion and deposition. And I don't think farmers would want to wait that long. A farmer needs something living. That can only mean that in some shape or form, these rocks are alive. Sentience being locked inside stone isn't unheard of. In fact, it has happened several times on this show alone. Twilight was turned to stone by the stare of a cockatrice, but she wasn't killed. Her consciousness and being was still there. That's why she was able to be returned to her former state. And more famous than that was Discord's imprisonment. He was turned to stone by the elements of harmony, and in spite of not having any working bodily functions, he could still hear what was being said around him. He was conscious. Perhaps Discord knew that there was a form of living rock from his experience as one, and drew this consciousness out in such a way that Rarity could sense it. And when she could sense it, she regarded Tom as sentient and named it. When she woke up from her state and saw that Tom just looked like a boulder again, she probably regarded that sense of sentience as a part of the illusion and chose to forget about it. But Pinkie Pie is also familiar with rock farms, isn't she? Shouldn't she know about the secret to sentience in inanimate objects? Where's her pet rock? To answer that question, I'll defer to Party of One, the famed episode where Pinkie Pie lost her marbles and began talking to inanimate objects, one of which is a pile of rocks. The immediate natural reaction to this episode, especially in light of her twitching and facial expressions, is to assume that she had gone absolutely nuts. But Pinkie Pie can be extremely intelligent and seemingly operates on a different level than the other ponies. Maybe this wasn't insanity, but something else. Notice how her hair becomes flat. Most people associate that with her mood, but this is also how she appeared as a child in the rock farm, back when she constantly worked with rocks. Maybe when she felt that her friends in Ponyville were a lost cause, she reached out to befriend the sentients locked inside inanimate objects. Of course, this is a pretty big feat if it is indeed what is happening. Maybe the twitching is just a physical repercussion. At many points here, Pinkie seems to be the one talking and controlling the others. But what if that wasn't all Pinkie? To get a lawnmower going, for example, you have to pull the cord over and over manually, trying to get the engine going on its own. Being it that these objects have no natural physical senses or means of communication, maybe that's just what Pinkie was doing, revving up the inanimate objects to get them to communicate on their own, which they did in the end of the conversation. In The Return of Harmony, we can see a lot of different statues standing around near the hedge maze in the opening sequence, scattered around in the garden with Discord. But later, Twilight looks out the window to see the maze from that exact same angle, and none of the statues that were there previously remained. Either they suddenly decided to renovate the garden, weeping angels have invaded Equestria, or those statues were alive. Now, not all rocks are conscious, necessarily, but if this theory holds true, then a lot of them could be. Not only are these rocks alive, but they can impact their environment. Discord and Twilight were able to break free from their rock state. Boulder could potentially have eaten a sandwich and moved around well enough to play hide and seek. The rocks of the rock farm grew, the large rock yanked Rarity miles to come to it, and the statues completely changed location. If there are more of these conscious rocks, if the majority of rocks are conscious, then this could be catastrophic for Equestria. At any point, all of the entities could wake up and do something. The ponies are constantly breaking rocks, using them to build, blowing them up in explosions. Surely at some point, if they were indeed conscious, they are gonna want to do something about this. But this catastrophe isn't even limited to Equestria. In Equestria Girls 2, in the human world, the parallel mod also has a pet rock. If this theory is true, then chances are that that rock is also alive. And if that rock is also alive, then so are hundreds, if not thousands or millions of others on planet Earth.
Give me my rock!
That's just a stupid boulder!
It's not just a boulder! It's a rock! A rock! A rock!
You can't grow rocks unless